Ladies and gentlemen, Zebro and Rosenberg. Laura's on a family assignment. We got another piece of our family here, though. Bobbito, Garcia, Cool, Bob, Love in the building.
Yeah. Yo, where you at right now, Bob? This the crib?
Yes, this is the record room. You know, the vinyl's in the background of the custom made 45 shelf.
So I was that's why I'm bringing this up. So I've really spent years thinking about the 45 shelf, and I never thought about it from the way that you did it. So you have rows.
He made it like a dresser drawer where you pull it out this way.
I wish. That would have cost a lot more money.
Oh.
But these are, I can finger through them. They have enough space above, so I can finger through them, pull out, you know, boom, 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 pick, select.
Roughly how many does that hold? Roughly how many does that hold, you know?
I don't know. I mean, I designed it myself, so.
Did you? I might need this design, my G. It's not bad.
I bought these. You know, you go to record store and that's how
you got the little cards to label the label what artist is
divider. You know what I'm saying?
The divider's fire. Oh, that's dope, Bob. That's dope.
Thank you.
Well, look, not only does he do great DJing and make custom shelves that he just, came up with, but he's also an author and a documentarian, and he's got a new book, Bobbito's Book of B-Ball, Bong Bong, out July 1st. You can get that wherever you're getting your books and things at. Tell us about this book, man, because basketball has been your love and your passion since your childhood, is well documented, and almost everything you do has some sort of woven, sport, basketball love through it. Even your love of music starts, I feel like, on the basketball court.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, my father was a Latin jazz musician.
That's
so
right.
I was witnessing greatness just in my living room during jams as a kid, not really knowing that, though, years later, finding out who Jumbo Silva was, who Joe Baton was, et cetera, et cetera. But certainly, like, in terms of my teenage years and, having an entry point into hip hop and sneaker culture and all that starts from me being a ball player, first and foremost, on the asphalt, playing ball, pick up, eventually tournaments, camps, clinics, and then traveling to other boroughs and meeting other cats and, learn what they into. And it just became such a beautiful journey. I just got all in, like, by the time I was 14, like, there was nothing else important to me but basketball. I didn't have a girlfriend until I was like 25. Just straight up.
I wonder what it is. It feels like for so many of us, we're like, hip hop is our number one. We all have these other passions that's like right 1A, 1B. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it seems like, especially a lot of us old school hip hop guys, we found these other things where people think of you as hip hop first, but then there's something else they think of you for right away after that. Do you think there's anything to that? Like, is that the nature of hip hop, to just be in everything, you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's certainly a mentality when it comes to hip hop culture to be embedded and be loyal and be, knowledge rate supreme over nearly everyone. Like, we want to be worldly. We want to be up on things that nobody else is up on.
You want to be hip to the hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got that aesthetic from playing ball. I want to have some sneakers that dipped up with my Rucker t-shirt, and so now I'm customizing sneakers, and now I have unique kicks that nobody else has. And then when I'm getting into hip hop, and I'm in, at the special ed show, and Pasta Noose is telling Serge, like, yo, where'd he get those Pumas from, in gold? Like, so it all ties and connects, even though it's separate realities. I have a lot of friends who were into skating, who they started listening to me and Stretch because tapes were being passed the ramp and they were doing their ollies. And so it just depends on your environment, really. For me, it was completely basketball. And then I get heavy into hip hop because all my teammates were like passing cassettes. Yo, you know about Zulu beats on WHBI, Africa Islam? Nah. Yo, here, you know about Grandmaster Flash, Flash is on the beatbox. Like, yo, you wasn't going to hear that on the radio.
Right.
Even some of the early jams that I heard on the layup line, in the 80s, I wasn't going to hear on the radio. So that was allowing me to catch this sort of undercurrent of what hip hop was. And then that that kind of like got me on a path where when me and Stretch get on the radio in 1990, I'm still in that like, okay, let's be counterculture. Let's be left. Let's play the records and invite the guests. And Stretch was right there. It was like a collective decision. Let's invite the guests that nobody else is inviting. And so, I mean, even when it comes to the aesthetic, Peter, back to your question of ball, like when I dribble, I want to learn the fundamentals so I could play ball in organized context, but I want to be creative and do something different that nobody else was doing. And so I would work for hours, like, let me dribble underneath my thigh, let me try underneath my Achilles, just stupid stuff, but just trying to push in the envelope. And it's all tied together, man. I have friends that are like Star Wars, cats that collect records and they collect sneakers. And, for sure, like we have all these things. None of us are just one dimensional. I don't care.
And tapping into that, like, shout to the comic book nerds, shout to the, like all of that's been, you hear about Ghostface talking about his comic books, right? And all that stuff.
No doubt.
Like, and a lot of what you're articulating is just creativity and art. And art can manifest itself in many different ways, right? Like
absolutely.
You talk about Rosenberg and his love for wrestling, right? There's an art in that, right? Like there's something going on that is artistic and creative and escapism, even to some degree.
I think escapism's a big piece of it.
Yep.
And a lot of that is a part of hip hop, right? That hip hop is, if you think about the roots of hip hop, like the origin story of hip hop, and you think about the kids that were creating this counterculture out of a desire to find themselves and create community and identity and be safer and have something to find hope in, all of that is escapism. And to live through music and words and dance and graffiti and how you dress to create a persona that pushes beyond your immediate surroundings and creates almost superheroes to some degree.
Yep, 100%. And ball for me is that same escapism.
Yeah.
I don't become a public figure until 10 years later. My first like I just got to block all this out is me at the park at the GOAT, aka Rocksteady Park, just working on my handle, playing 21, but 3-on-3, 5-on-5, whatever. So
in the book, that you have, what is the origin of Bong Bong for you? Many people's entry point to Bong Bong is the RZA, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But for you, and is it any different for you, and why this title for the book?
Great question, and no one's asked me that yet, and I've been waiting for somebody to hit me with that. First of all, I love alliteration, right? Bobbito's book of B-ball bong bong, all B's, right? Second of all, I needed something light. My life is heavy. Okay. Not to get into my personal, struggles right now, but it's been a tough 5 years. I haven't done an in-person appearance. I haven't traveled. I've been DJing, consulting, making virtual appearances. Everything is remote from my crib, So I want to write something that would bring me joy, right? And even like, I was the art director for the book and curating the cover. It was very important to me to have a photo of me smiling, because I looked at, I did my research. I'm looking at all these other memoirs. And, the ball player, mostly from the NBA or the college coaches on the, cover looking all mean or, game face. And I'm like, like basketball brings me so much joy. I got to just express that, And for me, like the bong bong part of it. So at EBC at Rucker Park on 55th, when Bone Collector started going up there, the kids used to say that, oh, he got the bop bop. The bop bop, because he would come down and go, and then break his man and then throw the ball between the person's legs and lay up, So me being, just always trying to create my own universe. So one day I said, oh, he got the whip wop, and I went from, Prince Whipper Whip, Fantastic Romantic 5, hip hop reference if you get that. So I'm like, oh, we got the whip wop, she got the whip wop, and she's like, wop, wop, whip wop, whip wop. And then one day I'm announcing and just it wasn't premeditated or nothing. I'm like, oh snap, yo, he got the whip wop bung. You know what I'm saying? Like I just came up with that. And of course, I've heard RZA say it, but I don't remember if I said it before him or he said it before me. I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't really matter to me if he wants publishing on.
Well, you know,
copyright.
RZA,
He's gonna get
listen,
copyright.
You know, RZA usually has the keys to these things.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Bang.
he hasn't approached me yet, and if he does, I would welcome that. You know,
See, my interpretation of the bong bong, it definitely leads me to the Puerto Rican homies, though. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the bong bong almost felt like a postscript on the cocotazo. Because it was like cocotazo bang bang. You know what I mean? Like it was like a bang.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we can go back to Sister Nancy and all the Jamaican records.
Bang,
you know,
bang.
bang bang,
Yeah.
dun dun dee da, bang bang. Now she's saying BOBAM, bang bang,
But it sounds like
I'm
bong
hearing
bong.
bang bang.
True.
Yeah, that's true. That's a
Bang
good
bang
point.
bang bang bang.
Yeah,
that is
true.
how you sing
You
it.
know.
Yeah, facts.
And then we also got the other group. I'm blanking on it. You know,
Yeah.
bang bang.
yeah.
What the
Bang,
bang bang.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's another. So I'm hearing I'm hearing bang bang in the 70s, way before me and Stretch put RZA on a mic in the
Right.
90s. You know, that's my childhood. But again, like I'm when I just came up with bang bang, I wasn't thinking RZA, I wasn't thinking nobody. I'm just thinking it just sounded dope. You know,
No,
and
it
that's
does.
listen, you know, when I come up with nicknames, it just flows. You know, I nicknamed somebody. So I got to do a tournament called FC21 All World, right? I do it in 30 international locations. The other day we had it in Orlando for the first time, and MC Search, who lives down there, was my play-by-play. But I'm doing remote announcing with him, and there was a dude that tore off his sleeve, which, you know, ball players do that in the park when it's hot. It was like 100 plus out there, but he only tore off one. So Serge gave him a nickname. I forgot what he said, and we laughing, and I'm like, yeah, nah. That's half arm, half amazing. Yo.
Half
After
arm.
he scored, you know, and that's no diss to people who are limb different or anything. Like he had, you know, 2 full arms. But yeah, it was just something silly, you know. But anyway,
right.
it's just the spontaneous of it. Spontaneous. So anyway, going back to Whip Wop Bong Bong, that became a little signature when I'll be announcing, you know, my tournament FC21, or, you know, I did Kingdom, I did guest spots at Rucker, I did Elite 24 on ESPN, I've done a ton of Nike commercial tournaments over the years. So yeah, you know, that's just me having fun. Like nothing.
No, of
nothing
course.
too thought out.
I don't
No,
think
no,
I
yeah.
don't think any of
That
these
was-
hip hop expressions. I mean, yes, we from time to time see individuals try to lay claim to expressions and the origins of things, but I think it's, for the most part, it should be anyway, all in fun and community, right? Because we're all a part of
absolutely.
this thing and sharing.
And that's what hip-hop
sharing,
is.
And hip hop is that. Sharing is caring. Sampling is sharing and caring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And influence is all of that. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, yeah. You know what's funny, B? I was reading this book called Down These Mean Streets by P.D. Thomas. I don't know if you ever read it, but it's a classic. He was Boricua. He was growing up in Harlem. You know, this is back in like the 1940s. It's a classic book, B. Down These Mean Streets. Anyway, I'm reading one of the chapters, and he's like, "Word is bond," and I'm like, I was blown away. Yo, in the 1940s, people were saying "word is bond." I was like, what?
Nah, bro.
Well, if you think about the expression, right? The expression means if I give you my word,
Then it's bond. Yeah,
it's bonded.
Yeah.
Like this is enough. This is a contract. My word is a contract.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
almost like a bail bond, right? Like
Right.
if I put up the thing, the money, whatever, for my bail, I'm bonded to this commitment.
Yes. No, that makes complete sense, my brother. But you know, the way I heard it with our tone and delivery,
That's
yeah.
wild, bro. No,
the
that's
word
wild.
is born. Word is born. You know, hip hop was
book-
like word is born. You know,
The
in
memoir
80s.
came out in 67. I just looked it up. Memoir
Say
came
again?
out in 67 is when the book came out. But it's about his
okay.
life as a child. But it's about before then.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's
1940.
crazy. I would have never guessed that there'd be an origin for Word is Bond that
Yeah,
far
that
back.
far back, right? That's dope. Anyway,
That's so crazy. So Bobbito, how are you doing right now, bro? Like you just kind of give us a little bit of like a hint that things haven't been great. Are you good right now, or are you? Because we just want you to. I just heard that and didn't know anything was going on, so I hope you're good.
yeah, nah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, listen, I thrive. I smile. I approach every single day as a blessing. Um, if we want to talk about the hip hop world, we've lost a lot of people in the last 5 years.
A lot.
Biz, Tame from Artifacts, K Slay. I mean, it's like I look at IG sometimes and I'm like hesitant because it's like, okay, who's gonna have the obituary today?
Well, and it's a lot of it is our age, right? It is, and some of these obviously, and it's the lifestyle, right? So and I want to say rest in peace to Irv Gotti and Mr. C and many of the
Sasha
people,
Jenkins we just lost a few weeks ago, like
Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's just.
But
it's
we can't.
on. So anyway,
I think there are things that are out of our control, right? Just time is time, and people pass on. That is the natural order of things, right?
Absolutely.
And then there's the reality that many of these individuals are gone too soon.
Yep.
But I do believe, if we're being honest, our lifestyle, right, of constantly traveling, constantly in clubs, some people drinking, some people, partying or whatever, that it's just being in this constant lifestyle that is around things that can be bad for your health long term. Factor that into also the reality that many of us in this game are entrepreneurs. And so there may not be health insurance. There may not be a retirement plan. There may not, And shout to Nas, I was put on to the fact that he, makes donations and tries to do things on an annual basis to help some of the, some of our elders in the game. You know what I mean? I've talked to Kool Herc's family, who talks about the individuals who have contributed to making sure his medical bills, and his family and his son and his family has personally told me that people are all constantly making sure that they're okay. But I just didn't want to gloss over the reality that being outside too much, once you get to a certain age, does have health ramifications too. And if we're going to try to impart some wisdom on the generation after us, I think we should be honest about the fact that we was outside. Right. And not necessarily, and some of us out there without a plan, without a long-term plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been freelancing since '93.
Right.
But anyway, to Peter's direct point, like I feel blessed. I've done checked off every bucket list item that I could want in my career, and then some. So I stand here 2025. I'm gonna be 60 years old next year. And I'm joyful, but it's like everybody has their quandaries, everybody has their struggles, everybody has their personal life that's not in the public sphere. And so this book actually is something that brings me a lot of upliftment. The process of writing it, the process of designing it with Andres Jimenez, who's a dear friend now. Sometimes you do projects, somebody kinda, and then like you're in deep with them for 7 months, and then you come out of that and like, Dag, yo, you like my brother now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
right. You really went to the trenches together, right?
Yeah, and it's like we don't talk every single day, but now he's a friend for life because we went through those 7 months of designing and making sure that the photos were placed correctly, and it was a beautiful process, man. But I got to shout out Edge of Sports, Dave Zirin, who's up there, former Slam magazine columnist, author of amazing books that merge sports and social justice, as well as Akashic, who's a publisher. So Edge of Sports is like an imprint on Akashic. I got to shout them out for giving me the opportunity to express myself in the way that I did, because I don't know if you've read the book yet or just seen like the author's quote, but it's in my natural voice. I don't think another book is out there written in this way by a Latino, raised on hip hop, embedded in playground basketball culture for, since the 60s. So it's a very unique narrative. And in the way that I was able to infuse my 35 millimeter photography into it from the past 30 years, it becomes like an art book. And in the way that I was present, to announce, play, against or with so many legends and so many parks. Now it's like it becomes like a document for New York City playground basketball, for the last 60 years. So it's like a 3-part book. I'm super proud of it, man. And I really hope that your audience gives it a chance, picks it up. It's an ebook as well. Ebro might like ebooks.
I want to read can I read the dedication section?
Oh, hell yeah. Please do.
Okay. This book is dedicated to those who have crashed against poles, chain link fences, and asphalt after taking it to the butter and have gotten up and kept playing.
Word up.
Those who have scraped open their palms after falling from trying to cook their defender with some freak disco. Mm-hmm. Those who have sweated in the sun so much in one day that their faces were crusted with dried salt. Those who have played outdoors so many years that they can put their hands on top of their kneecaps and feel their bones chiseling against each other. Mm-hmm. Those who have felt the sting of acid from peeling an orange because their fingertips have open wounds from clapping boards too much. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those who have never had a tan below their sock line because they don't know what it is to be outdoors and not playing ball.
Word up.
Those who have played with the leather balls outdoors until they became suede and light enough to be taken off by a summer breeze. Those who have played on double rims, low rims, bitty rims, bent rims, hanging for dear life on one remaining bolt rims. Those who didn't have rims, who have shot on the bottom step of a fire escape ladder, bottomless milk crate, or empty trash can. Those who can play high school or college for 4 years, those who go pro and may stay at that level for a decade, if lucky. Most importantly, those who lovingly dedicate themselves to playground basketball for life.
Mm.
Awesome, man. That's just the dedication. That is a great start.
That's the first page of the book. I wrote that Ebro when I was the editor-in-chief of a playground basketball magazine called Bounce back in 2003. And I just held on to that like this whole time. And I was just waiting for the right moment, to pow, bring it out. But it just felt like it encapsulated the whole book, and so, going back to the way I approached it, it's my natural voice. A lot of books that are memoirs, unfortunately, I don't know if the publishing industry doesn't trust people of color, but they always get a co-author, right? It's like, why not let the athlete or the musician just write it themselves and edit it, And so because I'm an author already, I was just like, I'm going to approach this, but I'm going to speak in a way that is organic and authentic to me as a ball player and to me as a hip hop head and to me as a New Yorker. Yeah. And to me as a Boricua. You'll see some Spanish words in the chapters. You'll see some Spanglish. Everything is explained in the context of the paragraph. If you just are from Nebraska and not into ball, hip hop, sneaker, nothing, you can still figure it out. But
you have a chapter called I don't even know how to pronounce this. Don Keo.
Donkeo.
What is that?
Donkeo is dunk.
Yeah,
so for the heads out there in your audience that love NBA Street Volume 2, I was the announcer on that for EA Sports, sold millions of copies. Still to this day, people are like, when I was a kid, I used to play that for hours. My moms would tell me, shut that off. So I used to say it in the joint, don't go, when it would be like, there's only so many ways you could say dunks. I was just trying to be creative there.
Nah, I like it. Yeah. The book opens up too. I think people. I love how it starts with you and your dad's relationship. Him telling you to turn off Happy Days to turn on the Knicks.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. I had to, man. Shout out to my pops. His birthday was a couple of weeks ago. He passed away like 28 years ago. But wow. his memory still lives on, and I felt like. If I'm going to write a memoir, the starting point is him. And my mom's too, shout out to my mom.
You must have been, and it's so crazy because at the time you were probably like, oh man, turn off Happy Days. Little did you know you were turning on your real Happy Days.
Well, that's literally
what
he
I never thought about that. You're right. You're right. Although if you're a Knicks fan, you don't really
not always happy, you know what I'm saying? But the potential of Happy Days.
He said
potential Happy Days.
Right.
Right.
And he says I really didn't care much to be a spectator. My concerns was how Happy Days character Fonzie was going to save Richie Cunningham's ass from getting herbed, and or if Arnold Horshack from Welcome Back Kotter could laugh any more annoyingly. I don't know if Dad was attempting to make me like basketball. So that I wouldn't wince at him stomping on my favorite shows. But in '74, he put our family's cherished Spalding rubber basketball in my hand for the very first time.
Yeah, word
That's
up.
dope, man.
That's true and actual, man. Like, I had to reference a lot of stuff in my book. A lot of people have been amazed who have read it. They're like, yo, how you remember all this stuff? And, it's like any historian cross references, so I'm like, I remember the first time I played ball, I was 7. So I was like, was it 73 or was it 74? Was it already 7? And it wasn't like on my birthday. So, it's like
you catch the little part, Ebro, even when he was talking about his book, after I asked you the thing about doing different things, then you slip in, with my 35 millimeter pictures, because you're also a photographer, right? So there's just so many different things that you can do. And I just love seeing you. It all comes together. How much hip hop stuff makes its way into the book, or do you really keep it as basketball as possible?
Can't tell my basketball narrative without, bobbing and weaving through hip hop. I get my job at Def Jam in 1989 because of basketball,
right?
And that's a later chapter. But I was playing ball with a cat named Mark Pearson, who was a graffiti writer. He winds up going to Columbia University with Pete Nice. Mark introduces me to Pete. Pete plays ball. He was all Brooklyn Queens at Bishop Ford.
Yep.
I meet Pete. I meet Search at Nell's. They like, yo, this is a mad cool cat. Pete got on the green Air Force One low cuts. This is the first time I'm meeting him. You could only get the green Air Force Ones from one store in the Bronx in all of New York. So I'm like, yo, this dude is cool. He's looking at my sneakers. He's like, yo, he's cool. We all become cool.
That's it.
Then years later, they get signed to Def Jam. They give me a job there. How does that happen? Because I'm teammates with Mark. Basketball is the nucleus of that.
Yeah.
So even I got some funny stories in there when I'm on the radio with Stretch, and how I'm at Rodney Park in Williamsburg, and a kid at the foul line. I get fouled. I go to the foul line to shoot my free throws. And the kid, while I'm about to shoot, is like, yo, that Redman freestyle last night was bananas, yo. And I'm like, B, you're not going to distract me from making this shot.
That's so good.
Chill. We can talk about that after the game, though, if you want,
That is hilarious. By the way, you'll love that our producer, DJ in the chat right now, said he worked very closely with K Slay. And he wrote, Bobbito's hip-hop memory reminds me a lot of K Slay.
Okay. Yeah, rest in peace to the
K Slay's ability to tell stories.
Yeah, and
his
the connections
memory
from
and
this
his
to
connection.
that.
Yo, man. Rest in peace, man. Bobbito, we're blessed to have you, man. We really are.
B, thank you, man. I reached out just really hoping that we could make it happen. And it's a joy to talk to both of y'all. I wish Laura was here too. I say this almost every time Laura has me on, but I met her when she first moved to New York.
Yep.
At APT.
Yeah.
I had my residency there. She walks up asking me about a record, and we just hit it off, and we become dear friends. And all these years, and I'm seeing her when she was working 3-4 jobs, doing windows. And I'm like, yo, what? I was on a train platform one day, and I see a poster with Laura, and I'm like, yo, I almost started crying. I was so happy for her because I knew what she went through, the steps, to climb up to where she's at now. So, yo, stupid love to Laura Styles, yo. Stupid love to her. Like, I've known her for 25 years, and I hope I know her for another 25. And props to her for, becoming a parent and her partner and all that stuff.
Yo, Ebro, we could put that drop that he just said, super props to Laura Styles. We'll put that right before we play Lord Jamar's. Laura Styles, get the fuck out of here. We'll put it right back to back. We got to play it for you, Bob. It's the funniest shit ever.
It's crazy.
It's Jamar going off on me from years ago. This is years ago. And he's going off on me. And then he takes a little shot at Ebro. And then he's like, Laura Styles, get the fuck out of here. And we love it because no one's ever said a negative thing about Laura Styles. So it's the funniest shit to us. You can't find a bad thing to say about her. But Jamar found a way.
She's the best, yo.
Yo, Bob, we're so proud to have you. I just want to say, too, for those that may be watching this conversation and you haven't really looked at what Bobbito has been able to contribute to hip-hop in the not even just in the radio and, everything he did with him and Stretch and bringing artists to the airwaves. But the way you've documented things throughout the years through your lens and through your memories, I think is just very important, right? Because I just don't feel like we in hip-hop do a great job at making sure those that lived it create the narrative and tell the truth, right? Like there's been a lot of books on hip-hop, a lot of documentaries on hip-hop. There's a lot of storytelling. But from somebody like you, a true New Yorker who lived here from the beginning of all of this and has been a part of this and has been making sure that it's documented and cared for, I just want to make sure we say thank you and encourage the audience to go back and study up on what you've given us.
I mean, that's DJ Cucumber Slice, you know what I mean? Also the ad-libs, you know what I mean? Who says mashed potato on a record? Only Bobbito.
Applesauce as well,
Applesauce. Don't ever sleep on applesauce.
You might want to feed your child some applesauce right now and mashed potatoes.
Spit up.
Do they have teeth yet?
No, she doesn't have teeth yet. Babe, can I get the burp cloth? No teeth yet. No teeth yet. There's no.
But you know what? She just started throwing them hands, though. I heard.
Yeah, she's throwing hands a little bit now. But to your point,
mashed potatoes and applesauce,
that'll be first up on the list.
Yeah, don't give her the nuts.com yet. Too early.
Yo, thanks, Bob.
Yo, Bobbito. Everybody out there, go get the book of our bro, man, Bobbito. Bobbito's book of B-ball, Bong Bong.
Word
His
up.
life through hip-hop and basketball, man. Thank you so much for your time today, brother.
All right, peace.
Peace. Respect, sir.